Prime driver, been driving about 6 months. Big flatbed. Shout out to my boy Dan the man, the best. I ain't gonna say the best, but he's pretty good. Thanks for tuning in. You are now watching the Prime Safety Meeting. We're gonna get at you in 3, 2, 1.
Good morning. Today is Friday, January 28th, 2022, and this is your Friday safety meeting. Of course, after last week, we had to pivot due to increasing rates of the COVID-19 and the new variant that's going around. So last week, Dave and I tried something new. We nestled up into the sales area up there and just kind of had a quick chat about some of the things that are going on here at Prime. We got a lot of positive feedback last week, Dave, about that setup and the way we did the meeting. So we decided to go ahead and try it again. So this time we're across the hall. We're in the dispatch area of the Z building. So we're upstairs in the Z building. We're right at the precipice of where reefer dispatch is in conjunction with flatbed and tanker. And we're just going to bring a couple guests here with us today. So I'm Dennis Davis. I work in the safety department. The safety department is located just below us in the Z building, right in the center of the room, right next to the pillar. So if you ever have any questions, comments, or concerns, don't hesitate to stop by, or if you're out on the road, give us a call and we'll do whatever we can to get whatever questions you have answered for it. So with me today is a 20-year associate, 20-plus year associate now here at Prime, Mr. Dave White. Good morning, Dave.
Morning. How you doing, Dennis?
Good.
Now, you've been here 20 years too.
So yeah,
you can't brag on me. You've been here about as long as I have.
So
I remember those night calls. You started in night dispatch.
Right.
You used to call me.
I'm a little bit older maybe than I look. And I had a few red shirt years as an intern, but as of January 2022, I crossed over into that 20-year fraternity. So
there you go.
Glad to be here. Best company, probably only company I've ever worked for in my professional career. But I don't regret any of the decisions. So hey, man, what about you? What did you do?
I love our setup up here, by the way.
Mm-hmm.
A good call. We're right here in the middle. You'll see behind us. Maybe you can or cannot see. I don't know for sure, but tanker people are working. Flatbed people over here. Got Donnie Walter, Jim Wilkins, Brett Von Wheeler over here. That's amazing, man. This place just continues to go. And I love being in here in this live environment, man. They're kind of looking at us going, what are you talking about us for? But no, they're the workers. There's no doubt about it. It's great having them.
It's a little bit different than what we're accustomed to. As you look out in the masses, you see some folks that are here working on site. But the majority of our associates are working remote.
They have to.
Being ready, being aware, and providing the same quality service that we provided to our drivers as if they were sitting right here.
And we're going to try to keep a separation here. We did a pretty good job last week.
We did a pretty good job last week.
But this week we got a little bit more room.
We two big dudes, so we probably need to, But just to kind of give you guys an update on what the policies here are on site at the Springfield terminal. No matter what your vaccination status is, masks are required for everyone that comes into the building. Dave and I both have our masks with us, but for the sake of this conversation today, we're going to shed the mask, make sure that Mitch and Amy can hear us properly, and so can the folks that are listening to us live on Facebook and live on YouTube, and of course our drivers that are going to listen to us a little bit later because they're driving down the road, and we don't need that type of distraction.
I brought my special mask today. Chiefs Friday, baby. We got a big game this weekend.
Hopefully you don't jinx it.
I know. I hope not. But special mask. But anyway, hello to all of our drivers out there, all the ones that are out there running freight up and down the highways. Especially a big shout out to all of our new folks. Usually we're down in the cafeteria doing this, and we're not able to do that. But thank you for watching. Hopefully, if you're at one of the terminals, you're getting some breakfast this morning, and you're going to listen in. We got a good lineup this morning. We're going to talk about some safety here shortly. We're going to bring in Stan Casterkey, talk about the ELDT training that's coming up February 7th. Then we're going to bring in Leasing, a little bit better looking people than you and I. You know what I mean? There are main ladies here that will be talking about leasing. And then finally closing her down with Stan Almond, Reefer Ops Supervisor. And then, of course, Robert and Steve will close out the meeting. So looking forward to this one. We got some good information coming because you know what? All these meetings, I always learn something from them.
Absolutely. So the first thing we always want to start out with, Dave, is safety. And, really our report card every week that kind of gives us an idea of where we stand as a company and what our drivers are doing. Those inspections, and
no doubt.
Just a quick overview of what we do with inspections. We typically get around 125, 130 inspections per week. And of course, whenever one of our operators or driver associates gets an inspection, we want you to send that to us as quickly as you possibly can. So our associates in the citations department can go through them with a fine-tooth comb, identify any violations, and get the necessary paperwork sent back to the states that require it. Of course, I say Steve Field is the hardest working man in Prime. He looks at every single inspection that comes through every single week. All right. And then he kind of turns it over to one of our safety supervisors, and we'll go through it right after he does and kind of breaks it down and maybe give some conversation to the fleet managers that are involved with those inspections and give them a little bit of direction on where they need to go. But
and sometimes too, we need to route in drivers off them. If they haven't taken PSC class, and then that's one of our safety classes we want you to have once a year, and take that PSC class. If you get a moving violation or something, we'll route you in and get that education so you can, hopefully it doesn't get repeated again and we can learn from it.
So what we do this week?
We did 132 inspections, so you're right on between 125 and 135. So 89 of those were clean, so 67% clean rate. We upped it from last week. Last week I think it was 62, so went up 5%. Let's keep going, man. Clean inspections pay money to our operators, and
so
that's important. But more importantly, it increases our safety numbers with FMCSA. So
when we look at that 67% and 62 last week, kind of give us a breakdown on how that measures up to the industry average.
Yeah, we're fortunate. Every year we're able to get Captain Kelly. He's the head of the Commercial Motor Vehicle Enforcement for the state of Missouri. He's very active within CVSA, and that's a Commercial Vehicle Safety Alliance where all the states get together and they talk about the regulations and trying to make it more uniform. So if you go from Missouri and you go to New York, hopefully you're being looked at very similar in each state, which they're still working on that. Certain states kind of emphasize different areas, but overall they're under the same regulations, and that's what CVSA is for. And Captain Kelly said, average is about 35% clean inspections for a carrier. So we're at 67% this week. Last year we averaged 68% overall for the whole year. So very impressive on our inspections, and we want more of those. That's what this is about, no doubt about it. How did we do last week though? You're the one that got to sign off on them. You got to put your Dennis Davis at the bottom. How did we do?
We did really well. Some of the reoccurring things, of course, and I hate to hear this time of year, but speed. We were written up on more than one occasion for that 6 to 10 bracket over the speed limit, and if an officer pulls you over for that, that's basically an instant failed inspection.
It is,
and it gives them the opportunity to go through and find other things. Now the good thing is, when that officer went through and looked for other things, they didn't find much. Our operators and our driver associates did extremely well, but we also have to make sure that we remind folks, and this is a good transition into our next topic, that this time of year you just got to slow down.
No doubt about it. No, yeah. And again, we're in the winter time. We're right in the heart of the winter time in the end of January. We still got another probably month and a half, 2 months. Certain states maybe even longer than that of winter driving. So slowing down is a big, reminder for all of our drivers. When weather conditions get a little bad, slow that truck down. Just the other morning here in Springfield, Dennis, we witnessed, we had a little light snow covering, and it kind of caught MoDOT by surprise because they didn't get the sand trucks out. But there's a number of accidents. I came in at 5:45, and there's already 10 accidents in Springfield they were reporting, and there's more that happened after that. A couple of them I heard in 44. Remember, things like bobtailing and all that. If you're bobtailing out there, I highly caution you not to bobtail, but sometimes we have to. We're going from one lot to the next. Maybe you drop a trailer at one customer, got bobtail over, pick up a different trailer, loaded trailer, get moving. But be careful on your speed, because a bobtail, you have no weight on the back end of your tractor. And it's easy to slide around and slide off. And, speed makes the biggest difference. Just take your time. That's at the end of the day. And then if it gets too bad, what should we do?
Pull over.
There you go. Nothing wrong with that.
Get to a safe haven. And even, taking a few steps back before that, one of the pieces of information that the safety department is trying to put out to all of our operators, starting with 2022, is the first part of winter weather preparation is really consider not driving. If the conditions are too bad, you're in the heart of a storm, maybe if we wait 4 hours, 6 hours, maybe even a whole additional 10-hour break, the situation is going to be drastically different. The storm is going to pass, that will give the opportunity, like the other morning you talked about, that'll give that, MoDOT the opportunity to get out, plow the streets, treat the roads, give traffic a chance to die down. and the whole situation will be drastically different just a few hours later. We only incur risk and no reward if we try to battle and fight during, the worst part of any storm or traffic situation.
That is, and this past week, it reminded me of one that we had to slide off in New Mexico, and the driver said, it was snowing, but I thought I could get going and drive out of it. Well, if you'd just waited another couple hours, it probably would have, dissipated, went past him. Give those road crews time to get out there, and they're already out there salting and sanding, and that makes a big difference. And just taking your time. Majority of the time, you don't have to wait a whole day. There's certain storms that come through the country, big blizzards. Yeah, you may get knocked out for a day, but the vast majority is a few hours. Give them some time to get out there, treat it. It's a lot safer to drive.
Absolutely. And as we transition, we're about to ask Stan Casterkey to come up and talk a little bit about ELDTs, but. The information we also want to give, we always get information from our driver personnel department and our citations department. It's important that every single operator knows that, at this point, you can if you want to, but you never need to physically bring us a piece of paper or a document ever again.
Nope.
Right there in your pocket, that smartphone, whether you've got the Apple version or Samsung version, you have access to the Prime mobile app. You can scan bills, you can take pictures, anything that we would need under our umbrella. So, for example, you get your CDL renewed or you get your DOT recertified, your DOT physical recertified. You can submit that all over the Prime mobile app. We ask you to do your annual review once a year, readily available on the Prime mobile app. And biannually, we ask all of our drivers to do the hazmat recertification right here available on the Prime mobile app. So, the old days when you and I worked, where you had to fax or get some paper to get it filled out, none of that is necessary. Now, if you're old school and you still want to do it, sure, we'll take it. But it's so much more efficient and so much more convenient for everybody involved, you, the driver, and the associates in-house here, processing and administering that program for you to get it done over the Prime mobile.
And not only that, the stories we used to hear about, hey, I turned it into lineup, or I put it on my fleet manager's desk, or I dropped it off in safety. With this, using the Prime mobile app, you don't have to worry about that. It's all in the system. We get it, and it doesn't get lost. And then the driver doesn't have to do it over again. And so this Prime mobile app's the way to go. There's no doubt.
Hey, also, just a quick shameless plug. Some of these videos that we do are readily available right here on the Prime mobile app. So
maintenance side too.
Absolutely.
Chaining up, all that. Yeah, what to do. DEF, fuel gelling up, all that's covered underneath there. You got videos for everything. So. Big educational tool as well. So
all right. So last week, like I said, we got some pretty good feedback on just conversing. Two safety guys talking about what's going on here at Prime. Our goal is to get back to the point where we're down, in the cafeteria in our normal setting, talking to drivers, being in front of the drivers, getting some instant feedback from drivers. But until then, this is what we're going to do, and hopefully we'll be able to get. Different parts of the terminal, talk to some different folks that are actually here working on site and give us some good information. So who do we got first?
Let's bring up Mr. Stan Casterkey. Stan oversees our PSD training, also our third-party CDL testing, which is so important to Prime. How you doing this morning? Nice having you. Thanks for coming over.
Thanks for the conversation.
Thanks for inviting me to the party.
Thanks for coming over in a cold winter today, man. You're coming over. A little chilly this morning outside here in Springfield.
I got my steps in. Walking from the plaza to here, you get your steps in every day.
Get your heart beat up a little bit too. There you go. Good
what
deal.
I need, yeah.
So what do you got for us today? We got the ELDT training coming up February 7th. How's that going to affect us here?
So Federal Motor Carrier Safety Regulations is saying that everyone has to do this. I know there's been kind of a panic, it seems like, for people trying to get their license before February the 7th. It's okay. Here's what this ELDT regulation is really doing. It's holding training providers accountable. There's some of these folks out there that you pay $5,000 for a license and you don't have any training. So I think this is adding value, not only adding value to that CDL, but it's also making our roads safer because they're mandated and going to be required to be a part of the third-party registry. So as a trainee or someone who's wanting to become a professional motor vehicle operator, they're going to have to go onto this third-party registry. They're going to find that carrier or that truck driving school that will that's registered. The federal government has already looked at that individual to make sure that they're able to be a training provider. So it's not going to be, hopefully we'll get rid of a lot of these, I'm going to call them fly-by-night
That's good.
places that we have.
Yeah, it's really sad when we bring somebody in that have spent $3,000, $4,000, $5,000 to get their CDL, and then we have to start them all over again because it's going to get their required drive-in and
It is.
understanding the theory background of trucking,
Yep.
which is so important.
You know, and there's some things on this. So on the theory part of it, Dave, that you brought up there, we have things in place. A lot of this stuff on the theory side is going to be done through our orientation part. On the theory side, there has to be an 80% proficiency of that. We have that all in place come February 7th. We're gonna have that in place to where they can show that proficiency. Now, one thing that I want to make sure and let everyone out there know as well is that a permit that's issued on February the 7th or after is who's falling under this regulation. If you got your permit prior to February the 7th, you don't have to do this part of it.
Okay.
Okay. So I think that's been part of the panic, you know, people thinking they have to get a CDL before February 7th. I can promise you, or I hope, trucking is going to go on after February the 7th because that's how I make my living. So we're going to keep doing that. So instructors that we have, people that are going to be doing instruction for what we call our PSD program here, they have to have a minimum of 2 years of driving experience in the type of vehicle that they're going to be teaching in. We do have some of our folks here right now that you may be watching us here now that you don't meet that 2-year requirement at this point, so you won't be able to train a PSD, but you can do a TNT.
Yes.
So there is no requirement on the post-training part of that. So those of you that might be worried that you're not going to be able to pass your knowledge on to someone else, that is not true. We value you and we need your help to get these folks trained to become professional commercial motor vehicle operators. So
Now, one small little point on this too that kind of gets forgotten, and I've had some drivers call me, the hazmat endorsement. That does include under this if you're going to get a hazmat.
exactly, we're gonna have the module for the hazmat endorsement on there, the hazmat training portion of that.
Good.
So whether you want to do hazmat or not, you're going to comply with that and be able to get that. That's going to be part of our training. So kind of the final part of this, because I know we have a lot of other folks that are wanting to talk here. The final part of this, once you come in and pass the CDL test, then it's Prime or that third-party training provider. It's their responsibility to upload the training documents, the training material to the federal database.
Okay.
We have to do that within a 24-hour, well, by midnight of the next night. So I guess that's really a 48-hour time period that we have to have that uploaded. You know, it's kind of interesting because really right now, the federal government doesn't have that site turned on yet. So, you know, we're going to see. We still have 2 weeks. I'm sure it's going to
Cross
happen.
those fingers.
Absolutely.
We'll see what happens.
And if it doesn't, you know,
sure.
we're where we need to be at this point to comply with what we need to comply with. So it falls back to the feds and the states to have their part ready for us. We're here.
Need to apologize. Usually we start off. How many years you been here at Prime?
You know, this year, August of this year will be 12 years.
12 years.
So I'm the newbie here. You guys are. You got me.
12 years is awesome.
Yeah.
No, but before Prime, you ran a truck driving school too?
Well, I worked at a community.
Things,
I worked at a community college here for a couple of years. You know, Dave and I have known each other for a long time prior to me working at Prime. I've been in trucking. May will be 31 years that I've been in trucking.
Awesome.
It's my passion. You get in trucking, whether you want to get out or not. Sometimes you can't. I've never wanted to get out of it. So it's been a
Gets in your blood.
marvelous
No doubt.
experience for me. That's for sure.
Good
So
deal.
appreciate you asking that.
Anything else you want to bring up this morning, or?
You know, I think I'm good. I would just ask all of our folks out there watching, if you have the experience that you need to be a TNT trainer, man, get with your fleet manager. Let's go through that process. Let's get you verified. We have some things that we have to talk to you about to make sure that you're the one that we're looking for to help our professional drivers become professionals. On the PSD side of it, if you have that 2 years of experience, again, get with your fleet manager. Let's do that vetting process, and let's get you set up with a trainee to help advance their career in a professional manner. So,
And if you're not even associated with Prime, we get these people too. They're watching this, YouTube, Facebook. If you want to call and talk to a recruiter about coming in, by all means, our number is 888-664-9121.
there you go.
I had to write that down because I don't call that number, but yeah, that's great. That's if you're interested in coming to Prime, by all means, you'll be seeing this individual here one-on-one, definitely. So Stan does a great job for us. So
Appreciate that.
thank you for coming in this morning. Appreciate it.
Appreciate you guys. Thanks for what you do. Appreciate you all out there. Be safe out there. And anytime you're in Springfield, be sure and look me up. Okay. Thanks.
Awesome. Who do we got next there, Dennis?
Hey man, you may have missed your call, and man, CBS Morning or the Today Show. That was a fabulous job.
Hey, you know what? And you can do the weather. You could be our weather guy. Isn't there a guy by the name of Al out there somewhere? No.
Al Roker.
There you go.
So, as we transition, we'll bring in some folks from the safety department, from the leasing department.
Leasing, yes.
So Stan talked about 31 years in trucking, and I don't think that either of these next two guests are even 31 years
Come
old.
on in.
No, not quite. Not quite.
Thanks for joining the conversation.
Hello. Good morning.
We've got Haley and we got Chelsea from our leasing
Yes.
department, and I'm gonna just tell you, over the last few weeks, we talk about the feedback that we get from these meetings. Everybody wants to hear from leasing.
Love that.
They
All
do.
right, so
Love
thank
that.
you guys
That's
for
good.
Yes.
for getting up early in the morning, coming
Of
and
course.
joining us. Like we talked about earlier, a bunch of the folks are working remote, but you guys are our neighbors downstairs in
Yes.
the Z building, and one thing is always going to be consistent. Safety department is going to be here on site, and our friends over in the
Leasing will be there
department.
too. Yep.
We appreciate you guys showing up every day, and thank you for coming this morning to answer some questions for us.
Of
So, of course, I'm gonna just put it right out there before anybody sends in a comment or message. The elephant in the room
Yes.
right now is, we've suspended the lease purchase program
Correct.
temporarily. So, you want to give us a little bit of information about that?
So yes, right now, due to our current truck availability, we have temporarily suspended the new lease purchase program.
Mhm.
So we just can't get enough new ordered trucks in to be able to lease purchase them right now. So right now we've had to temporarily suspend it, but we are hopeful that we can bring it back sometime this year. We don't really have a timeline on that yet, but we will keep them updated,
Yeah.
keep everybody updated. And if you have any questions, as always, call the leasing line and we'll be happy to help.
Absolutely. So, like I said, that's been the ongoing theme and question as we get through.
Yeah.
So, even though an operator can't do, at least at this point, temporarily, the lease purchase program, what other opportunities do we have available right now in the leasing department?
A driver can definitely order a truck. So after you've been leasing with us for 3 months, you have the opportunity to go to our website and place an order for a truck. If you are end of lease, you can order a Peterbilt. If you're not end of lease, Freightliner is going to be your option. So that's a great option for them to be able to pick some extras, make that truck unique, really pick their striping on it, and kind of make it theirs. So that's awesome.
Now, we stay busy, me and Dave, and
Yeah.
Bill and Steve and all the other folks stay, constantly busy in the safety department. But you guys stay busy a lot
We
as well.
do.
What's keeping you guys busy these days in the leasing department?
Well, for Haley and I,
Yeah.
we are the two that track the ordered trucks. So as everybody pretty much knows, our ordered trucks, we have been facing delays with those, with this national part shortage and everything we've got going on right now.
Yeah.
It's kind of a weird time in the world. So we have been facing delays. However, since the new year, we have been seeing the wait times get a little bit shorter. We're starting to see trucks move a little bit better. So we're hopeful that that's going to start trending in a better direction where our drivers aren't having to wait so long on their ordered trucks.
Yeah.
So that's been keeping us busy, is
We
trying to keep
definitely
everybody
have
updated.
a lot of upgrades coming in too.
Yeah.
Chelsea handles all of our company drivers, and then Brittany as well with all of our upgrades. And the list is long. People are coming in.
Yeah.
People want to be at Prime. This is a fabulous company. So
Yeah.
we've got people coming in daily trying to get on tracks, and we're working as fast as we can
Yeah.
to get you guys rolling and out and making money.
So one of these terms when we talk about drivers coming into Prime that you guys have adopted that I absolutely love is the white glove service.
Yes.
And I want to weave that same mindset and execution into the safety department.
Yeah.
But going back to the leasing, talk to us a little bit about what specifically you guys mean about white glove service.
So with the white glove, we really have tried to break it down and make it just an easier process, not just so fast and herding drivers through as fast as we can, but really helping and being there and making little tweaks here and there. Just with ordered trucks in general, we've had Stripes leave the plastic on the cover. So when you get into your truck, it's like a brand new car. It's a brand new truck. It smells fresh, smells clean. Little things like the shop getting a tiny little vacuum to make sure they get all those shavings and little things out of the truck. So it's nice and clean for you. Maddie handles our end of leases, and she started to call when you finish your lease to just let you know, hey, you've completed your lease. I've got your payout done, and it'll be on this week's settlement. This is how much you're getting, just so there's more communication as well. Another thing we've done, once you check in on the website to get on the list for a truck, Brittany has started emailing you guys or the drivers to let you know where you are on the list and kind of what looks like when you'll be able to look at trucks. So just slowing down the process, being more available, and making it more of a exciting time. This is the best part. You've finished classes, you've finished everything, you're ready to get your truck. So that's great.
So before we transition into, your personal stories, before we get into Prime, I think we have a few questions from online.
Yeah, I've got one. Dee wants to know, will drivers that do a regular lease be able to move that into a lease purchase?
Say that again. Sorry.
Drivers that start out doing just your standard lease, will they be able to move that into a lease purchase?
Yes, they can if it qualifies. So it has to be a reefer truck and right at that 3-year date of service and under 450,000 miles, and then they can switch it over to a lease purchase. It does go off of the market value of the truck now, so it's a little bit different than it was in years past.
All right. I think that's all we got from the questions.
All right.
Before we kind of drill you guys about your history, is there anything else you want to share with the folks before you go?
The only thing I might add is we welcome drivers to call in and ask anytime about their ordered truck. I know a lot of times I do the 30-day out call, so 30 days out from when their truck is estimated to deliver. I give them a call, tell them where their truck is at in the process, and then we don't really call them again until the truck is here on the yard. So a lot of times drivers are like kind of wondering where they're at in the process. But it is hard to update everyone every single time their truck moves. So I just encourage the driver that if you are curious or you haven't heard from us since your 30-day call, we're always, welcome you to either call or email. Sometimes it's easier for Haley or I to just track it and send you back an email. So we welcome that.
Just keep in mind, like the 30-day calls are from your projected, like your estimated date of arrival. Okay. So if it was supposed to be here today, we would have called 30 days ago. But that doesn't mean with these delays, it could be another 6 weeks or whatever. So feel free to reach out to us. Yeah. We're always happy. We check with Freightliner and Peterbilt. We have a wonderful relationship with both of them.
Do the manufacturers, do they keep you updated?
Yes,
what's
daily.
Going on?
Yeah.
Daily. That's awesome.
Yeah,
That's
so
good.
we get updates all the time. And so if somebody calls in, we'll just take the VIN and send it. So if it's not on our updated list, then we'll just take the VIN and I'll find out and I'll be like, this one still hasn't crossed the border or it's waiting for a transporter. So it's, a constant snowball.
That's amazing.
Yeah, it's great.
All right. So before we let you go, last couple of weeks we've had to transition due to COVID to, this kind of setting for our Friday morning meeting. So our goal is to make it as personable as we possibly can.
Definitely.
So, Haley, Chelsea, tell us your story. How long you been at Prime? What did you do before you got here? And, just real quick, what do you like the most about the company?
Oh my gosh. Okay. So I have been at Prime. I always go a little ahead. My department always laughs at me. I'm like, I've been here. And they're like, no, you have not. Okay. So I have been here almost 4 years in July 4th, 4 years. I absolutely love Prime. My husband has been here, I think almost 8 years. He works in sales. So I was a stay-at-home mom before this with our son and seeing, how excited he was and how much he loved his job and what a great place this is and the culture. And he could get his haircut and get a sandwich and get paid, all in the same day. It was awesome. And then starting to go to different functions with my husband and making friends here. I was like, this is wonderful. And he kept being like, there's a daycare, Haley. There's a daycare. You'll still be able to see our kids. And I'm like,
right.
Okay. So I actually applied for a few different positions and then leasing is the perfect fit for me and just worked out. My son was in the daycare for 3 years and then now my daughter Goldie is in the daycare and it's just a blessing being able to walk with them every day and say hi to people and take them to school. And so before that, I was really just working for my family's business and then was a stay-at-home mom for quite some time. So,
And you mentioned about school. It is more like a school.
It definitely,
It's not just
no,
thing
it's
you drop your kid off and
definitely
you
a
walk.
learning center. It's
Good.
very structured. It's the best. Like they have these cute little songs before they eat, and they all do like family style lunches. And thankfully, Doc has allowed us to be able to go back into the classrooms for 15 minutes a day. So it's a huge blessing for Chelsea and I. Our daughters are in the same class, so we go down and visit them and just kind of read to them a little bit and see them. So Prime has some wonderful, wonderful perks for sure.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome. So what's your story, Chelsea?
My story's pretty similar to hers.
We're the same. We're friends.
My husband also works in the sales department.
They're best friends too.
Yeah, our husbands are friends. So I actually had a very different background. I was a dental hygienist for 5 years before I came here. I actually felt like I was kind of wanting to look at something different before I officially left dental.
I kept begging her.
then-
We would go to lunch and I'm like, come to Success,
Yeah.
come to Leasing. You've got to come.
She did. And then I fractured my hand, which kind of sealed the deal on the dental career. So I had heard wonderful things from my husband about Prime and Haley, and the daycare is wonderful. So it was a very easy decision. I just started applying, and Leasing had an opening, and Haley got my foot in the door, and here I am. So I've been here 3 years this year. So this June.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's been wonderful.
Great.
Awesome. It's always great to hear those stories.
Yeah,
You know, staying 31 years in trucking. You guys are kind of new to the trucking, but it sounds like you guys have jumped in, feet first and ready to take it on.
Yeah, it's a family affair. We all ride to work together, kids in the back. I'm like, this is great.
Cut down on the gas expense.
That's
right?
100%.
Yeah, but we appreciate you guys joining the
Thanks
conversation
for having
with us
us.
this morning.
Appreciate it.
The leasing department is always the most requested group to come, so
Yep.
Love
hopefully
that.
Hopefully
we
be
can
back.
get you back here
We'll be
pretty quick.
back
All
anytime.
right.
Thanks,
All right.
guys.
Thanks a lot,
Have a
guys.
great
Yep,
day.
good job. You too.
It's always cool to hear people's stories, isn't it?
It is. There's no doubt how much I learned just from that right there about our trucks and ordering, and I had no idea. So that's amazing. And not only that, the families that are involved here within. I myself, my wife works outside the walls here, but it's neat seeing the little kids come by every morning. They walk by our desk, their children, and they wave at us, and just provides a different aspect to this. Family. We're all family here. We're all together on this.
My son's 10 years old now, and we're going to bring Stan Allman up next. And back when I was a fleet manager, Stan can probably remember when DJ was born, and remember when, at 6:30 in the morning when my wife would, who also works here, would bring DJ by, and he would give every single fleet manager that sat back in the bubble room with us a pound and got our day started off the right way. So,
Yeah, I remember it well, and now he's a Jayhawk fan. So,
well,
man, I love
nobody's
that kid.
What
perfect.
happened there?
yeah, I love that
Nobody's
kid.
perfect. So,
Steve Field and I were just over there talking. Better pause here and say good morning, all. Good to see everybody. Thanks for working out there today and driving. I want everybody to be healthy and safe. But Steve Field and I were just talking about, I used to park out front of the Millennium Building, been there over 25 years, and walk in and put my gym bag up, starting in the year 2000. And I would walk in with these associates, and they'd be carrying them in first. Then a year or so later, they'd be in mom and dad's hand. Next thing you know, they'd be chasing them in.
yeah.
Then you see them come around at Halloween, and they're grown up. And it's been great because we are family here. So just a great atmosphere.
What do you got for us this morning, Stan?
Really, my main message this morning, you guys have already touched on it, and I know Steve and Robert will too. The first part of my message is just the captain of the ship. We got a lot of winter weather out there. There's another nor'easter coming in this weekend. If it gets bad, you don't feel right, pull over, and just communicate that. And that's the key part of that. We just need really good communication, because the customers will forgive us, but they won't forgive us for bad communication and not letting them know about those delays. So, usually the best advice is to keep moving and move slowly for the conditions. But man, if you're feeling unsafe, shut her down. And like I said, communicate that, and we'll let everybody know. And the other part of my main message is going to be on driver development. Prime's started our PSD program in 2002. I don't know who had the idea. Steve Larson started it. He's still out there and does just an incredible job with it. But it's been the lifeblood of our company in 2002. In 2022, 20 years later, obviously, it's still the lifeblood of our company. You know, and most of the trucking companies out there are struggling for drivers right now. Well, we have plenty of drivers. We just need instructors and trainers, you know. And right now, I was just talking to Chris Martin and Steve Tassin, you know, and Stan Casterkey. You know, before I came up here, we've got over 100 PSDs that need instructors. Right now, that's today. Right now, you walk up, we can give you, if you're a qualified instructor, we can give you a PSD right now today. You know, we have over 200 TNTs that have passed their CDL, and they need a trainer today. So, you know, hey, let's put these assets to work. Let's get these drivers in education, get them out there and get them in a truck, you know, and just got to remember that most of our drivers have came through our PSD program. So somebody trained you, you know, let's pay it forward, you know, and let's train a driver, you know, and I think you'll really like it. And here's one of the best parts about this, not only the fulfillment of training somebody and watching them develop and grow, but, you know, when we look at our earnings weekly on the independent contractor side, that lead seat on that team is always over twice as much as what our solo makes. So can you imagine, Dennis? You can double your income today. You want to sign up for that?
Absolutely.
Absolutely. In most cases, over double your income. So there's just a lot of earnings potential out there, you know, and on the company side, you know, those trainers are making over $2,000 a week on the company side. So just great amount of money to be made out there, you know, and like I said, we just really need that help right now, you know, and that's the main part of my message this morning, just as our driver development area, lifeblood of our company, you know, and I don't know if there's questions or.
Sure,
you know,
we can shift real quick, you know, as we talk about and we look out there among the masses. This is kind of the dispatch floor. There's 2 floors down, but see a lot of these desks are empty and our associates are working remote. Kind of talk to us about, you know, kind of how the SBUs are configured and kind of how working remote, we can still provide that same quality service to our drivers.
Sure. So right now, you know, we were out for about 15 months, everybody out. And we've decided with the Omicron surge to ask folks to stay home. We are asking each SBU to have a fleet manager in here every day. So, you know, Dennis talked about our SBU configurations, and those are 6 fleet managers, and they have 2 fleet managers in training, which we call FIT. You know, we love acronyms in this day and age. So we have our 2 FITs, and then we have our payroll associate and our road assist associate in those SBUs. So drivers got one-stop shop there and talk to everybody he needs to talk to at Prime for the most part, you know, when he has an issue or needs to talk to somebody. But we are asking to have those SBU leaders to plan on having one person from each SBU in the office every day. And there's some folks that come in every day anyway. So there's people in the office. It's a little sparse up here, but there are people up here, you know, and I'm very social. So I got to have somebody to talk to. So there's a few people to talk to up here today, but, you know, that's our SBU makeup. You know, it's been really successful for us and allowed us to do a lot of things and train those fleet managers properly that are coming up through the ranks.
All right. So before you get out of here, Stan, kind of tell us your history. You know, how long have you been at Prime? What did you do before you got here?
Well, I think I started in trucking when I was about 10, if you add up the years. You know, I worked for a little LTL outfit for 10 years called Yellow Freight. You know, and then like I mentioned earlier, you know, this July will be 26 years here at Prime. Much better experience here at Prime than at Yellow Freight. I mean, when I was at Yellow Freight, we used to get a pizza party if our operating ratio dropped below 99.
Oh, wow.
So, you know, it's just a totally different, you know, atmosphere over there in that LTL environment. So, and that was in the 80s. So, but anyway, you know, over 35 years in trucking, and, you know, there's not a more rewarding job or career. So
now you
just
started
really love it
here as a fleet manager, right?
That's correct. I was fleet manager for about 6 years. So I've been an operations manager for you know, in March, it'll be 20 years. So been doing it a long time. You know, when I came here, I was the 17th fleet manager, and we had 1,175 seated trucks in the reefer division. And we didn't have a tanker division. We hadn't had a flatbed division that long. You know, I just looked, and we were 5631 seated this morning. So just a little bit of growth there over that 25
That's on the
and a
reefer
half.
side only, right?
Yeah, it's a reefer side only. Like I said, we didn't even have tankers when I started here. So, you know, just, you know, Prime's a growth company. We're going to grow. We get these instructors, trainers, you know, obviously, you know, I was remiss. I didn't mention we had 1,230 teams today, which our high water mark, our record there was right before the holiday started in 21. We were at 1,266. So we have over 200 TNTs today. So we get some trainers to step up. We can knock that 1,300 out of the water in a hurry. So just appreciate any help you guys can offer.
Good deal. Well, Stan, we appreciate you being here. We appreciate
Thank
you
you.
joining the conversation with
Enjoyed
us
it.
this morning.
Enjoyed it,
Appreciate it,
guys.
man. Yeah, thanks for
Hopefully
coming
we'll
out.
get you back
Everybody be
soon.
safe.
Yep.
Don't forget your, there you go.
Tell you what, one common theme you hear amongst the different people we brought up, communication, how important it is.
So important.
Leasing,
So important.
trucks,
Yeah.
safety, no doubt. If you damage anything, let us know. Follow up on your safety scores if you want to see us, any accidents, whatever. Fleet manager, obviously you've been there for 15 years doing that. You know how important it is. So.
Absolutely. So we're gonna keep it rolling. You want to talk about?
Yes, one thing we do every Friday is recognize our veterans. So if you've served in the military, thank you very much for your service. We have a little Friday theme we go by called Bread. Remember everyone deployed. If you have loved ones out there that are deployed overseas, thank you for their service. They're so important, keeping our country safe. And sometimes we like to think that we're a pretty safe nation, and there's been certain things across the seas bubble up and kind of get you worried, but hopefully everything will be okay. But thank you for all the service. Everybody that's been involved in the military. And our last two speakers are closing guys coming up, Robert and Steve. I know they've both been in the military, so let's bring them up next.
All right.
Steve Woodkey, Robert Lowe. Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
I appreciate you guys joining the
Good to see you,
conversation
man.
this morning. Good morning, Robert. How you
Yes.
doing?
Good. Wouldn't miss it.
Show's yours.
Well, the show's yours. LFA, you go ahead.
I was looking to be on the big screen. I don't see it. I guess somebody out there can see me, but I can't see them. Good morning, everybody. Proud to be here. You're doing a heck of a job. You're fighting through this winter weather. Picking them up and delivering them safely and on time when that's the wise thing to do. And I appreciate it, and the customers appreciate it. Business is pretty good. We're going to get Steve to talk here in a minute about rates and volume and those very important things. But let me tell you, he's a great salesman, but you all are better because you do the job.
Yeah, I'd certainly second that, Robert. It's not necessarily what we do in sales. It's what our operators give us to sell. And I think they give us the best product in the country. So we're very, very grateful for everything that you all do. Not to be redundant, but size really does matter in this business. And our growth has really been created by those of you that choose to train and give back to your profession. So I'm sure Robert would agree, it's super important that we continue to entice you all to do some training and help create some more professional drivers for Prime. As far as business is concerned, Robert's correct. I think the number last week that we rejected on EDI tenders to us was something like 14,000 loads. That's a lot of freight right there, Bart.
Freight.
So it's obvious that there's still a short supply of capacity out there. Our goal is to try to cover as much for our customers as we can. They've been very good to us over the past couple of years. Certainly through the holidays, they treated us very, very well, as you did them by staying out and running. But we're into a new cycle now. We need to get our percent available out there on the road on a daily basis to give them coverage, and truly appreciate all that you folks do to help us accomplish that objective. Our highest calling is safety. Don't ever think differently. This captain of the ship is the real deal. You hear Dave and all these guys talk about it. That's the truth. We believe in you all. If you're not feeling comfortable with the weather, get off the road. Just call your fleet manager and let them know what you're going to do. And then when it clears up, we'll keep moving. We'll deal with the customer side. I think they would expect you to do that. So don't put yourself in jeopardy. Don't try to be a hero of any sort. Just stay calm and stay safe. We appreciate it.
We sure do. Steve, have you ever driven a truck?
Yeah, I have.
You may be again.
Well, we could get in there
saying,
and do a team West Coast
we
turn. Let's roll.
could do it. Let's rock it.
I think we could do it.
Yeah. Folks, Steve said it very well. You're what makes us and we recognize that. You know, I know a lot of companies say that, you know, they really appreciate and love their drivers. You know, I challenge them to put their money where their mouth is. You know, our drivers are making some bank, and you know, this place, you know, we try to make it as good. We can always get better, but we try to make it friendly, comfortable, clean, safe, a welcoming environment here when you get through not only Springfield, but Histon and Salt Lake, and pretty soon Manuka and other locations around the country, smaller, but still important to us. And so again, I would challenge those competitors to match this company with the care factor, the real care factor, our facilities, our amenities, and very importantly, earnings for our folks that are doing the work.
You know, Robert, I think we might ought to mention as well, the regionalization that we're seeing within our own fleet. You know, we've got Pittston and the Northeast fleet up there doing really, really well. We're continuing to build the Southeast region. We've got a Midwest thing going. Out in the Northwest, clearly we've got a big facility out there that we could stand to grow very quickly. So if you're interested in the regional part of our network, we got a place for you. Obviously, we still love the teams and we love the long haul business or those 700-mile runs that a team can run overnight, that whether that's pharma or protein or whatever, the rates are really powerful right now. As we look for the future and this coming year, I think we're going to get support from our customer base again on the rate side. So hopefully we'll continue to see some improvement on the rates in your paycheck on a weekly basis. So we got that to look forward to.
That's good. We need to capture those 14,000 loads that we're turning down. You know, grab that market share. Gives us, you know, more standing in the marketplace. Quite honestly, it gives us more powder with the customers and our rate negotiations and you know, our terms and you know, other features of the relationship with our customers. When we can negotiate with them for safe, secure parking locations for our trailers, for as an example, you know, that's very important to us. So help us gather up that extra business out there. It's pretty sticky. Once we get it and they have a taste of our service, we'll hang on to it for a long time. You agree with that, Steve?
Absolutely. I think we can spoil a customer very quickly with the service that you all give them. I've got a really important question for you, Robert, since, you know, Dennis and Dave were quizzing some of our associates. You got to pick for the game this weekend, those Chiefs versus the Bengals. What do you say?
Go Chiefs!
All right.
You see a lot of red around the building. A lot of it has to do with the Chiefs. A lot of it has to do with remember everyone deployed as well. So we thank all of our members of the armed forces that are serving, and thank you all that have served as well. So that's all I got, Robert. You got something good?
Let's get those Chiefs home.
Yes. We appreciate you all. Be safe. Thanks for everything you do.
Absolutely. God bless you. Thank you.